I never thought my life would feel like a nightmare hidden behind perfect smiles. My name is Madison, and until a few months ago, I believed I had everything a woman could want: love, family, and a husband I trusted with my heart. My husband, Ryan, seemed perfect on paper. He had the charm, the career, and the kind of smile that made you forget the world for a moment. I loved him fiercely, maybe too fiercely, but I thought love could protect me from anything. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where everyone waves at each other over white picket fences and garden parties are a weekend ritual. On the surface, life looked flawless, but like most families, ours had its secrets. My parents adored my younger sister, Vanessa, more than I ever realized. Not in a malicious way, they just always seemed to underestimate me. Vanessa, sweet and giggly to outsiders, had a sharpness in her eyes that I ignored. I told myself it was jealousy, the kind siblings often have. I never imagined she could go so far as to ruin everything I loved. Ryan and I had been married for 5 years. We'd built a life together in our little suburban house, complete with matching decor, dinner parties, and weekend getaways. I was proud of the life we'd made, proud of him, proud of us. And yet, over the past few months, something had begun to feel off. Ryan was distant, distracted, and quick to snap over minor things. I blamed stress at work, deadlines, or maybe even the house renovations. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Then came the little moments, things I almost overlooked. A laugh that didn't sound right when Vanessa called him, a message that popped up and disappeared too quickly to read, a fleeting glance they exchanged when they thought I wasn't watching. My heart tried to dismiss it, telling me I was imagining things, but my gut screamed otherwise. I remember the night it hit me first. We had a small family dinner, the kind where my parents insisted everyone sit together, pass dishes politely, and pretend nothing was amiss. Vanessa kept asking Ryan questions about work, leaning closer than necessary, laughing at jokes I didn't even hear. Ryan's hand brushed hers, just for a second, and I felt a sharp pang in my chest. That second felt like an eternity. I wanted to look away, to convince myself it was nothing, but the unease settled into my bones. I tried talking to Ryan later that night, casually, as if I were overreacting. I said, "You've been acting a little distant." I forced a smile. He looked at me, tired eyes hiding something, and nodded. "Just stressed," he muttered. And I believed him, or at least I wanted to believe him. I didn't want to imagine the truth. But the truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how deeply you bury it. And in my case, it started with a simple, careless mistake. A notification that popped up on Ryan's phone while he left it on the kitchen counter. I saw Vanessa's name. My heart skipped, then stopped. My hands shook as I debated whether to look, whether I should just walk away. But curiosity, that dangerous, irresistible curiosity, got the better of me. I glanced at the message, and what I read made my stomach turn. It wasn't just a friendly check-in. There was something intimate, something forbidden, hidden between the lines. My mind refused to believe it, twisted it, searched for a rational explanation. Maybe it was innocent, maybe it was nothing, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, mind racing. I tried to convince myself I was wrong. I loved Ryan too much to see him like this. I wanted to believe in him, in us, in the life we built. But the truth? The truth was a shadow creeping closer with every laugh, every look, every secret message. I didn't realize then that this was only the beginning. That one moment, that one glimpse was the first thread unraveling my life. And I would soon find out that the betrayal wasn't just between husband and wife. It was family, too. My own sister. My Vanessa. And what I would do next would change everything. But I didn't realize that was just the beginning of the nightmare. The next few weeks felt like walking through a fog. I tried to keep my routine, to go to work, to smile at neighbors, to be the Madison everyone expected me to be. But inside, everything was unraveling. Every laugh between Ryan and Vanessa, every secret glance felt like a dagger twisting deeper. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, but my instincts screamed otherwise. It started with small, seemingly innocent moments. Vanessa just so happened to be at Ryan's office one evening, asking about some trivial work detail. Ryan seemed flustered, almost guilty, and I caught him avoiding my gaze when I mentioned it later. Then there was the way Vanessa always texted at odd hours, always giggling, always hiding her phone when I entered the room. And Ryan had started locking his phone, deleting messages, acting like nothing had changed. But I always knew. One Saturday afternoon, I decided to confront Vanessa, just subtly, to see if my suspicions were real. I found her in the kitchen, arranging flowers, that fake smile plastered across her face. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You seem to be spending a lot of time with Ryan lately. Everything okay?" Vanessa's smile didn't falter, but her eyes sharpened. "Oh, Madison," she said, tilting her head. "We're just talking about work. Ryan has a big project coming up, and I was helping him brainstorm ideas. Nothing more than that." I nodded, but inside, my anger bubbled. "Right," I said softly. "Just work." I wanted to push further, to demand the truth, but something stopped me. I needed proof. Solid proof. Otherwise, I'd look like the jealous, paranoid sister, and she would win before I even started. So I began paying closer attention, watching, listening, noting every detail. And that's when I noticed the patterns, the late-night text notifications, the disappearing phone calls, the little excuses Ryan made to spend time with Vanessa instead of me. It was happening right under my nose, and yet no one else saw it. My parents were oblivious, caught up in their routines and adoration of Vanessa. One evening, I stayed behind after work, pretending to be catching up on emails while waiting for Ryan to come home. I watched from the window as Vanessa's car pulled into our driveway. She didn't knock. She didn't ring the bell. She just let herself in, laughing softly at something Ryan said. And when they saw me, they froze. Just for a moment, before pretending everything was normal. But I saw it. That brief hesitation, that glance, that unspoken understanding. I remember standing there, heart pounding, a mix of rage and betrayal swirling inside. I had never felt so powerless, so foolish, yet so determined. I realized something crucial that night. This wasn't just about an affair. This was about betrayal at the deepest level, a betrayal by my husband, my sister, and the family I thought I could trust.
And as I stood there, staring at the screen, I made a silent promise to myself. I would not let them get away with this. Not quietly, not easily. The question was, how far was I willing to go to take back everything they tried to steal? And I didn't know yet that the answer would push me into a world of deception, strategy, and revenge I had never imagined. And just when I thought I had them figured out, I stumbled upon something unexpected. A hint that Ryan had been hiding more than just this affair. A secret so dangerous, so carefully buried, that it could shatter not only his life, but the life Vanessa had imagined with him. I didn't act immediately. I just watched. Because timing, I realized, was everything. One wrong move and I could lose everything, including the satisfaction of seeing them brought down by their own arrogance. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the next step. I felt a thrill I hadn't felt in years, a mix of fear and power. I was no longer the betrayed wife. I was the strategist, the quiet storm gathering strength. And I knew deep down that the storm was only beginning. The family started noticing the tension, even if they didn't fully understand it. My parents would glance at me during dinners, concerned, but too polite or too distracted to ask directly. Vanessa, on the other hand, was growing anxious. I could see it in the way she fidgeted with her hair, the forced brightness in her laughter, the tiny cracks when she thought no one was watching. She was starting to realize that I wasn't the same Madison she once overlooked. I began using that to my advantage. I planted small doubts in Vanessa's mind, subtle things disguised as casual conversation. "You're working so hard for Ryan lately. I hope he really appreciates it. He can be unpredictable sometimes. She would flush, tighten her smile, and I'd sip my wine as if nothing happened. But inside, I felt a quiet satisfaction. She was beginning to crumble, not because I attacked her directly, but because I was controlling the narrative, shaping her reality without her realizing it. Ryan, too, was slipping. He started double-checking everything, watching me for signs that I knew more than I let on. He became tense at home, irritable, and sometimes careless. I noticed the way he avoided mirrors, the way he cleared his browser history before I could even glance at his laptop. And every time he made a mistake, I filed it away, not out of malice, but as ammunition. Every little secret, every slip, was a key to the eventual reveal. Then came the first truly surprising moment, a cryptic message from someone who claimed to know about Ryan's past. I wasn't sure whether to trust it at first. It could be a trap, a rumor, or even a lie. But something in my gut told me it was real. Ryan had been hiding more than the affair, something deeper, something that, if revealed, could ruin him completely. I decided to investigate quietly. Late nights at home, I combed through old documents, financial statements, and casual mentions in conversation. I even enlisted Clara, my best friend, to casually probe around for information without raising suspicion. Every lead, every whispered hint, began to form a picture more disturbing than I had imagined. Ryan's perfect life, the life he flaunted, had cracks in it that went far beyond his betrayal with Vanessa. Meanwhile, Vanessa's anxiety grew. She started looking over her shoulder, second-guessing her own decisions. I could see the desperation in her eyes when she realized that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as untouchable as she thought. And I relished that tiny victory, not in a cruel way, but because, for once, I felt in control. For the first time since the betrayal, I had the power. But even as I orchestrated these small moves, I couldn't shake the feeling that something even bigger was coming, that Ryan and Vanessa weren't just playing with me. They were playing a game I had yet to fully understand. And whatever it was, I realized that the next step in my revenge couldn't just be subtle manipulation. It had to be precise, calculated, and ruthless. I didn't yet know the full extent of the secrets I would uncover or the lengths I would have to go to expose them. But one thing was certain. I had stepped into a dangerous game, and there was no turning back. And just when I thought I had them cornered, the universe threw me a clue that changed everything. I should have known the next blow would hit harder than anything I had anticipated. It was a crisp Saturday morning when the news arrived. Vanessa and Ryan were engaged, not quietly, not with a hint of shame, but with a public announcement that felt like a slap in my face. My sister had the audacity to flaunt it, as if she was daring me to react. I remember standing in my kitchen, coffee cup trembling in my hands, staring at the email invitation they had sent to the family. A wedding to celebrate love and new beginnings. New beginnings. Her beginning. My ending. I wanted to crumble the invitation, throw it across the room, scream until my lungs burned, but I didn't. I breathed, deep and steady, and felt the first true spark of revenge ignite inside me. From that moment, everything changed. I wasn't the heartbroken wife anymore. I was the strategist, the observer, the silent force that would pull every thread until their perfect facade unraveled. I attended the engagement party with my usual poise, smiling, toasting, and congratulating them as if I approved of their union. And all the while, I was gathering information. I watched the way Vanessa held Ryan's hand, the way he laughed at her jokes, the small gestures that revealed arrogance and carelessness. I took notes. Not literal ones, of course, but in my mind, memorizing every detail that could later be used against them. That's when I stumbled upon something unexpected. While chatting with the distant relative, I overheard a comment, innocent on the surface but loaded with implications. Ryan had a past business deal that hadn't gone as smoothly as he claimed. A hidden loan, a missing contract, a promise made in secrecy. I didn't fully understand it yet, but I knew it was significant. This wasn't just about betrayal and love. Ryan had skeletons buried that, if revealed, could destroy his life he meticulously built. I didn't act immediately. I needed patience, strategy, and precision. My first acts of revenge have been small, subtle, psychological manipulation. Now I realized it was time to escalate. The stakes were higher, the payoff greater. Vanessa was beginning to panic in subtle ways, and Ryan's arrogance was making him careless. They had underestimated me. They thought I was the hurt, silent wife, willing to accept their betrayal quietly. They were wrong. Every word they spoke, every move they made, I recorded in my mind. Every slip, every little detail of their arrogance would be their undoing. And then the shocking revelation came, one I wasn't prepared for. A phone call from an anonymous source hinted that Vanessa's motives weren't entirely her own. She wasn't just in love with Ryan, not completely. There was something bigger, a hidden agenda, a secret that even Ryan didn't realize. My mind raced. What had they been planning behind my back, and how deep did it go? I left the party that evening with a smile on my face, outwardly composed, but inside I was alive with anticipation. The game had changed. This was no longer just about revenge for betrayal. This was about uncovering every lie, every secret, every hidden truth, and exposing them all. And I knew one thing with certain, absolute certainty. Vanessa and Ryan had made a mistake they would never recover from. But even as I planned my next move, I realized that the secret I had just glimpsed could change everything. It was bigger than an affair, bigger than jealousy, and far more dangerous than I could imagine. After the engagement announcement, I realized subtly alone wouldn't be enough. I needed to destabilize them psychologically, emotionally, and socially. The calm, strategic observer I had become was ready to turn into a storm they could never anticipate. I began planting small, strategic doubts in their lives. Vanessa thrived on perfection and control, and I knew exactly how to crack that facade. I would leave casual comments in front of mutual friends. It's funny how Ryan seems a little too distracted these days, don't you think? Or, Vanessa, I hope you know what you're getting into. Ryan can be unpredictable. Each remark was carefully designed to unsettle her, to make her question her choices, without realizing I was the one behind it. Ryan was easier in some ways. His ego, his arrogance, made him careless. I let little things slip at work through mutual contacts, harmlessly at first, just enough to create minor setbacks and self-doubt. I watched him flounder ever so slightly, and the satisfaction was intoxicating. This wasn't cruelty, it was balance. He had taken from me what he wasn't entitled to, and now it was my turn to reclaim control. Even at home, I maintained my mask. I smiled, cooked meals, laughed at Vanessa's jokes, acted like the ever-supportive sister. But inside, I was always 3 steps ahead, anticipating their next move. Every secret meeting, every hidden message, every glance they thought I didn't see, I noted it all. I was building a mental map of their weaknesses, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Then came the unexpected twist.
While digging deeper into Ryan's past, I discovered something that shook me, something I hadn't anticipated. A financial irregularity, a hidden transaction, a secret that Ryan had carefully buried. It wasn't just money, it was leverage, the kind that could ruin him if revealed. My pulse quickened as I realized the power I now held. This was bigger than the affair. This was the ultimate tool for revenge. I didn't act immediately. I watched and waited, letting them grow more careless, more arrogant. Every misstep, every reveal added to the ammunition I was collecting. Vanessa was starting to panic subtly. She would double-check messages, glance over her shoulder, question Ryan in small ways that revealed cracks in their confidence. I smiled quietly, knowing my patience was paying off. The psychological games escalated when I involved Clara. My best friend became my silent ally, feeding me subtle information about Ryan and Vanessa's routines, their habits, even snippets of conversations they thought were private. Every piece of intel made my plan sharper, more precise. I was no longer reacting. I was orchestrating, choreographing the collapse of the life they had stolen from me. And then the final piece of the puzzle appeared. A slip by Vanessa revealed that she had never truly loved Ryan entirely. Her motives were more complex, tied to money, ambition, and a hidden agenda I hadn't fully uncovered. My mind raced. The affair, the betrayal, the engagement. It was all part of a larger game. And now I was ready to play. I took a deep breath that night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the moves I would make next. I felt a thrill I hadn't felt in years, the thrill of control, of knowing the truth, of having power over those who had tried to destroy me. The revenge I had planned was no longer just personal, it was surgical, precise, unstoppable. And just when I thought I had them figured out, I realized the next revelation would shock me even more than their betrayal. Something Ryan and Vanessa had hidden from everyone, the kind of secret that could destroy not just their plans, but the very foundation of their lives. I thought I knew the full extent of Ryan and Vanessa's betrayal. I was wrong. Much, much wrong. It happened on a quiet Tuesday evening. I had been piecing together Ryan's hidden transactions, the whispers from my anonymous source, and Vanessa's subtle confessions. Everything pointed to a deeper deception, one neither of them had anticipated I would discover. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, documents spread out in front of me, my hands shaking, not from fear, but from the realization of how much power I now held. The betrayal I uncovered was shocking. Ryan and Vanessa weren't just having an affair, they had been plotting something larger, something that went far beyond our marriage. A secret trust, a hidden inheritance, and financial maneuverings that would have given Vanessa full control of the family fortune, leaving me and even our parents completely in the dark. Every detail was meticulously planned, every move calculated. They believed they were untouchable, that no one would see the cracks in their plan. I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and exhilaration. Anger for what they had done, exhilaration for the perfect opportunity it gave me. I had proof, undeniable evidence, and the advantage of surprise. They had underestimated me completely, and that was their fatal mistake. The next few days I watched them closely. Vanessa's confidence began to waver. She kept glancing at Ryan, seeking reassurance. Ryan, normally so smooth and collected, was tense, distracted, constantly checking messages and whispering on the phone. They didn't know I had connected the dots, didn't know that every secret, every slip, every careless smile was being recorded in my mind. I began subtly dropping hints to their friends and colleagues, the kind that made them question Vanessa and Ryan's integrity without knowing why. A casual comment about a missed deadline, a pointed remark about financial discrepancies. It was enough to plant seeds of doubt. Slowly, the web I had been weaving started to take shape. Their world, once so polished and perfect, began to show cracks. And then the most unexpected betrayal came. Vanessa, in a moment of careless arrogance, revealed that she had never truly loved Ryan, not for him anyway. She had been manipulating him just as he had manipulated me, all for control, power, and wealth. My stomach turned. The layers of deceit were deeper than I had imagined. They weren't just betraying me, they were betraying their own morals and anyone who trusted them. That night, I sat alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. The affair, the engagement, the financial schemes, Vanessa's confession. It was overwhelming, almost surreal. But one thing was clear. I couldn't confront them openly yet. I needed to orchestrate my revenge, carefully and deliberately, so that when it hit, it would be catastrophic. I smiled, almost to myself. They had thought they were the puppet masters, but soon they would realize who was really pulling the strings. The betrayal had been shocking, yes, but the power it gave me was intoxicating. And little did they know, the next move I would make wouldn't just expose their secrets, it would destroy everything they thought they controlled. The storm was coming, and this time they wouldn't see it coming at all. The moment had finally come. I had all the proof I needed: messages, photos, financial records, and Vanessa's phone confession. I didn't confront them immediately. I let the tension build, let them grow careless, confident in their so-called victory. Then I struck. I leaked everything to our family, friends, and even Ryan's colleagues. Every lie, every betrayal, every hidden scheme. The looks on their faces when the truth came out were priceless. Vanessa's fake confidence crumbled and Ryan's arrogance shattered. They hadn't anticipated me. They hadn't realized that the quiet, observant wife they had ignored was the one with control all along. In the end, they were exposed, humiliated, and powerless. And for the first time in months, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The revenge wasn't just about betrayal. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my power. And it was sweet, more than I could have imagined. But even as I watched them fall, a part of me knew this wasn't the end. Secrets like theirs rarely stay buried forever. After exposing them, life felt surreal. Vanessa avoided me, Ryan fumbled through apologies that meant nothing, our parents were in shock, friends whispered behind closed doors, and I finally felt the power shift back to me. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Seeing them squirm, knowing I had orchestrated it all, was enough. I had taken back control, piece by piece, with patience and strategy. For the first time in months, I could breathe. I wasn't the betrayed wife anymore. I was the one in charge of my own story. Months later, life returned to a fragile calm. Ryan and Vanessa were distant, their secrets exposed, their plans ruined. I had